Hello, Peter. Mr. Peter Dracakis, the third GAS president. Welcome to the KK Factor.
Thanks, Rula. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Super excited, I guess. You've taken over where Ellie Stamatelatos finished up. So she'd been with GAS for a long time, but from what I read, you've got such an impactful background that makes you perfect for the role to be appointed as the president. So I just want to go back to when your parents migrated here, your father migrated here from Thikara, came to Sydney, then you guys moved up to Brisbane, and here we are now. Family businesses, you got involved with all that with your family because you've got an extensive background in consultations. You're now doing family businesses, consulting with them, and I'll let you elaborate a bit more on that. But based on your upbringing and the struggles as a university student, I feel you have a lot to offer. So I would like you to start from the start and tell us about your background that got you to where you are today, other than the fact that you were a member like myself, and now you've stepped into the role as the president.
Yeah, sure. Geez. Well, where would you like me to start? How far back do you want me to start?
University.
2022 university. All right.
Well, we can talk about the parents, but you know what? That was pretty black and white.
Yeah.
You know, it's a standard way. They've come here, they work hard to build a life, and you are at a different level to what they were when they started.
Yeah, look, and obviously thanks to them, that was a big, I think a big goal of a lot of the migrants was to give their kids like higher education opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I went into university. I did like finance and accounting up here at QUT, and it was a pretty quick, light course, to be honest, and it was a very high conversion rate for work, though. It was like 98% of graduates got employed. So that wasn't ever really a major concern, but then it was sort of navigating to something that you actually were passionate about and wanted to do. And I think the reality was up here, especially back then, I mean, I finished university, I think it was 2007, so it's quite some time ago now. The market was, the finance market was nowhere near as mature as, say, Sydney or Melbourne. Like, it was considered a backwater up here in Brisbane. So there were a lot of jobs that just simply weren't available, period, here. And if you wanted to have something a little bit more exciting, you had to be prepared to move. Now, I guess I navigated my way through quite a few different streams of my industry to find where I ultimately felt, most at home, and felt like my talents were most suited to, and could deliver value really to my clients, because I did ultimately end up getting self-employed, or becoming self-employed at 30 years old. I think I pretty much worked in corporate all of my 20s. I started my first job, I think,
and you had some large large brands across Melbourne, PwC, the Coffee Club.
Yeah, so that was in Brisbane. I worked for, like, all throughout my 20s. I had a number of different corporate jobs, and I did have a really good stint at the Coffee Club head office here, which is obviously founded by three Greek Australians, and I also worked at PwC. That was my last role before I started my own business, and I think it was probably in the blood, and I've been thinking about it for a long time before I did it, and ultimately, I made that jump in 2017.
No regrets?
No, not at all,
done.
because it was, I knew what I wanted to do, I knew who I wanted to work with, and I knew how I wanted to do it, and I tried finding the opportunity in the job, but it wasn't available. It wasn't there. It was just too restrictive, I found, at the time for me. And I guess I sort of wanted to prove to myself I could do it too.
That's a pretty brave move at your age. Not many people at your age would take a step like that, to, you know, leave a large organization that you can work for and then to go out on your own to do what you're passionate about. And obviously you've been successful. And again, I put it down to your upbringing, because I feel when you look back at what your parents did, how hard they worked, and now being part of GAS that has this mentoring program that was not available for you at university, it makes a difference. So I feel all the everything and the obstacles you went through, mentally you've become a lot stronger, and hence you now know how to help family businesses. Did I get that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's probably two parts to that, I guess, which is first, like my motivation to be involved with GAS, which is I, sort of had to take, there was a lot of turbulence on my flight, so to speak, to get to where my ultimate destination, and it would have been a lot easier if I didn't have to go through all that. So, and you realize that if you have sort of a few people in your network, in your world that can sort of bump you in the right direction and like nudge you towards something that you're probably going to do in 2 years anyway, but you end up doing it tomorrow, like that's really big. And that's what really mentoring and coaching is. I don't think you ultimately make anyone something that they're not, but you can speed up the process and make it a lot smoother, ultimately for them. So yeah, like with me, I ended up sort of stumbling upon the people who ended up mentoring me, and a couple of them were Greek Australian, a couple of them weren't, but the ones that were Greek Australian are probably, stuck around a bit more in my world, I guess, longer term. So yeah, I think there's real value there. I think it's part of our culture. I think we do genuinely want to help each other be successful, and we want to encourage that strong work ethic and I guess, yeah, pride in what we're doing.
So with GAS, the Greek Australian Society, there's over 400 members nationwide, and there is an amazing group of mentors for the mentees to choose from. Amazing group of people. When you were at university, obviously GAS was not established at that time. Do you feel if GAS was there and you had those opportunities, other than a handful of people that you just mentioned that did mentor you, but back then we didn't look at it as we didn't associate that as being mentored. It's more like, I've got a friend who's helping me out, I can reach out to them anytime. Do you feel if GAS was around back then, it would have made your life a little bit easier going through university and making the choices you've made?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, because like if, the best people to talk to are the people that have walked the road before. Like, I think I hear so often, I'm like thinking about changing jobs or thinking about doing this. And it's like, well, who you getting counsel from? Oh, my parents. It's like, well, what do your parents do? Well, like, they're totally different professions, or they're in small business, or they're a trade, or whatever. And I mean, they can have all the best intention in the world, but ultimately, if they don't have experience in that area, they're guessing. And the best people to get advice from are the people who have done it.
Been there, done it.
So yeah, you want to figure out what you want to do, and then you want to find people that have already done it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So like that's what we offer, is we find, we have a group of people in our mentor ranks that have achieved like pretty amazing and outstanding things, and we give our members an opportunity to learn from them. And we give them a structure around it. When you do it in an informal way, like you get something out of it, but it definitely helps. I mean, having guidelines and a bit of an outline of what you're going to get through by when and how helps the mentors and the mentees a lot. So that's what we provide. We give them the scaffolding, we bring them together, and then we give them the scaffolding to have and find success.
How did you get involved with Gaz?
I joined. I was like a very mature, let's say, mentee, because I became involved with the Greek soccer club up here in Brisbane at the time when the B League had just been announced for through the FFA, and they were inviting applications. And Olympic being quite a major NPL side up here, naturally, threw their hat in the ring. And being the treasurer, I became very involved. And I was on LinkedIn, and I was looking through LinkedIn, and this thing popped up with Gas, and they had profile and bio of all their mentors. And I read about this guy, Peter Philopoulos. I'm like, wow, like pretty much did what I'm about to do. So I need to try and get in touch with this group and get involved. And I was put in touch with George Dracakis from Gas, and we had a really good chat. And turns out he's a football tragic as well with Sydney Olympic. So he's done quite a bit of refereeing actually. So we sort of talked at length about things, and I put in my application, and I guess the rest is history. And I had a year mentoring with Peter, and he's a really busy guy, does a lot, but he was, good enough to give me some time. And there were some really, really critical pieces of advice he gave me along the way that gave me clarity in my involvement and I guess, ultimate sort of direction decision with the role.
Now we've got two huge roles. You've stepped into the presidency, and then Bill Maloukis to the board. So I'll just touch a little bit on those that don't know who Bill is. So he's currently the managing director of the Construction Specialties Australia. His career spans over 3 decades, having collaborated with renowned brands and industry leaders to drive growth and success within the Australian building sector, delivering world-class projects including Sydney Metro, Sydney Allianz Stadium, and the new Royal Adelaide Hospital. I mean, this guy is huge, and yet he's dedicating his time to now be part of the board. So the Greek Australian Society is growing in a very, very big way, and you're becoming renowned and respected across the board, which is amazing. How did you step in from being a member to being the president? Like, did they approach you? Did you put your hand up when you heard that Ellie was going to retire out of there because she's got so many other commitments now because her other life is expanding as well? How did you become a president?
So I was a mentee that first year, and
So you started from the bottom and worked up.
Well, I wouldn't say started
so
from the bottom, but like it just gave me a platform, and then I used it, and it just naturally happened in that I really connected with a couple of the key people from the board who were the founders, like George Dracakis, and I really clicked really quickly because he was really interested in what I was doing with
and your success story
stuff. Yeah, well, especially with the football, like that was a pretty major role that I had last year and the year before. So at the time as well, and I think a lot of people were interested. I remember coming down, and there's a lot of guys in and around that Gas community that are involved in sports administration or coaching, So I was just fielding a lot of discussion and about what was going on up here, and it allowed me just to, I guess, build rapport, and people got probably a deep insight into what I was doing, and from there, obviously it helped that I was based up in Queensland. They wanted some representation from up here, so it was a bit natural that I guess I was offered the opportunity to join the board. And then we talked about, the executive, and I was invited to come in as a vice president. And at the time, I was still the treasurer at Olympic, and I'm sitting on Greek club committee here. So I was like, look, I'll come on and get involved, but I can't have a heavy lifting role.
Yeah.
And that's how I came in, and it was a 2-year term. So that started beginning of 2023. But then come the end of 2023, I had stepped back from my commitments here because they were just simply too demanding. Ultimately, Olympic chose not to move ahead with the B League application. So I guess that changed my
Thought
uh,
process.
yeah, as far as continuing to be involved there and what their goals were next. So and with the Greek club as well. So the only thing I kept was gas, and we went down to Melbourne at the end of last year to go to the hockey event, and we networked down there, and I was able to sort of connect with some of the hockey exec and also some of our new incoming mentors from down there. And I was like, wow, this is great. So it motivated me, and I had some time because I was in Sydney for 2 months with work, and I guess led a bit of a strategic review, which is what I do in my business for gas. And we got together, I think 3 or 4 times just before Christmas down in Sydney to do that stuff. And that was the time when Ellie was sort of talking about like what is sort of upcoming commitments were going to look like, and that she sort of needed to, decide how much she could carry and
Yeah.
what it would be. So again, it happened quite naturally there as well. Like we had a really good working relationship with Ellie, and um, it just
Evolved from there.
yeah, it did, and she did a fantastic job. But like ultimately, uh, she had a really good opportunity with her work, and she's at that stage in her career.
Yeah,
So
she's got a remarkable journey. Peter,
yeah,
you're also very busy because you're currently
mm,
working as an advisory consultant for people with family-owned businesses. So technically, that you could say that you're also mentoring as part of that role in a
yeah, true,
somewhat way.
yes.
It's like a mentoring thing, yeah. And as the president of GAS, what are we going to see from you? What changes? Will there be different ways of expanding the brand, of getting it out there even more?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm very big on like value delivery, and value creation obviously comes first. And I think at the moment we've got an amazing program with the mentorship, and for those who join it. But beyond that, we're still working out how do we give more back to our members, how do we keep them engaged, and we're looking to really grow our profile on social media, and connect more with our audience, and deliver more content, and give them that sort of touch and feel around who we are as a board, and also who our mentors are. And I think that's a really important part of the value that members are gonna have with us, in addition to the events that we obviously run, and we want to
Yes,
continue to grow. So
for networking
um,
purposes.
yeah. I mean, like I think COVID proved how vital that is, and when we didn't have it, we really felt it. So now you really take a lot away from those types of sessions, and Sydney's been the epicenter of it. But obviously, look, I'm based up in Brisbane, so it shows that we're looking to expand the footprint, like up here when the time's right, and we've already yeah, very
You've
much
already
sort of
you've done
started
that in
in
Melbourne too.
yeah, in Melbourne. We've got quite a good number of mentors and mentees down there. We've grown again in Brisbane based off following the last 2 years. We've got more up here again, but
We've got a lot of Greek Australians also in Adelaide. There's a few in Perth. Will
yes,
you be targeting those states as well?
again, it will be progressive. The next one will naturally be Adelaide. That that has been on our radar for quite a while, and we've been talking with people. But what the way we've decided to approach it moving forward is, rather than just sort of like rushing and going over there and having a little event, we want to be a bit more methodical, and we want to get a bit of a critical mass in each place, rather than just putting the flag in and having some drinks and, you know, maybe getting one or two people on board in a real capacity as a mentee mentor or something like that.
Situation.
Yeah, we want to give the best version of ourselves when we go there. So it's sometimes you want to sprint and you need a sprint when you're growing, but other times, like, you just have to be a little bit more controlled pace.
So some of you in the team have come out of university, but whilst you guys were at university, some of them had roles, they were presidents, and obviously their name is still there, and so well known now and respected. But what about other universities? Will you target other universities? Is there ways where you can target universities where you can go there and do a big spiel, you know, and try to encourage university students to come on board? Like, how else can you target other
Recruit.
than radio,
Look.
TV, newspapers?
I mean, membership's important, but we're not, you know, this like, we're not about sort of aggressively going out and recruiting. Like, that's not what we're about.
No, I wasn't actually targeting that. So I was more to
Okay.
create awareness that there is an association
Okay.
here that can help mentor.
Yes. It's definitely on the radar. It's definitely something that's been discussed. And yes, a number of the guys, I think all of the founders, George, John, and George P, all held some sort of role in one of these sort of Greek Australian associations at the Sydney Uni. So they've talked about it, but it's just about, like, you know, choosing what we're going to deliver when, because we have a lot of opportunity sitting in front of us. And I mean, I don't have 10 full-time employees that I can delegate work to. You know, we're a volunteer group, so we've got to try and respect everyone's time. And I guess what I sort of am trying to bring to the table is, like, what's priority one, and, like, let's address that, and then priority 2, 3, and actually make sure we get some good deliverables, rather than, you know, making 30% progress on 12 different things.
Yeah.
So
here in Melbourne, there's the Nugas group. They've come on board. Do other universities in the other states have similar groups?
Yes, yeah. So they're the ones that the guys were a part of. They're quite prominent. I believe they were definitely when they were at the helm of them, and I believe they still are. So it's I guess already quite it's sort of already in place, but it's not formal with the Sydney universities. So again, like, it's something that we're gonna look to sort of build on and communicate and build a presence in the future. We've sort of, for instance, we had a presence last year at the Bunny here in Brisbane, which is a massive event. And the last one we decided, we go, look, let's leave it. We want to try and be able to commit a good amount of resource to it when we do it, rather than try and rush it. So that's where we're sort of sitting. And right now, our top priorities is we're looking to actually raise the bar a bit with the caliber of our events and do some strategic partnerships with some really big brands. So at the moment, we're talking with I won't reveal who it is, but it's a pretty big financial institution.
Well, we're going to look forward to the announcement.
Yeah, and they want to collaborate and do an event with us, and they're gonna put forward and select a keynote speaker, and they're gonna I guess make it open to everyone in the organisation, but very much pitch it towards the Greek Australians and connect them with us, and do an event at a really beautiful venue. So that's what we're looking to sort of like add to our calendar, in addition to the more sort of social drinks that we have at like hospitality venues around Sydney or Melbourne. So
Now, tell me, if anyone wants to get involved with the GAS, the Greek Australian Society, whether they want to be mentors or whether they just want to be a member at this stage, how do they get in contact? Where do they go?
I mean, they can just jump on our website. We've got, all the links to our various social media. Jump on our LinkedIn page, and you'll be able to sort of click through to each of us individually. Just reach out. Like just send a direct message to me, to any of our executive on LinkedIn, and if you're looking to get involved in a major capacity as like a mentor, or you're interested in joining the board, as far as becoming a member, it's pretty easy. Just jump online, sign up. All the information is there. And with regards to applying to become a mentee, well, we're running our current program now, so I think the new round won't open until the probably very early next year.
Peter, thank you so much. And once again, congratulations on this appointment. I know you guys are moving forward, and we're going to see some wonderful and great things out of GAS. It was a privilege for me to speak to you today.
Thanks, Rula. I appreciate your time.